Okay, we'll talk about that. Well, Sam Haskell, executive producer on all of the Dolly Parton movies, the two that we've seen and ones that will be coming down the road. You had Christmas of Many Colors this past holiday season. Tell us about how that one was different for you as opposed to the first one the year before.
Well, the first one created such an incredible perception for Dolly's childhood growing up in the Smoky Mountains of East Tennessee, and people became familiar with the characters playing her siblings and the townspeople around her. And when we put the sequel together, it was really quite easy because we just brought back the same cast and we built upon their storylines and we helped people get to know them a little bit better. So from that perspective, it was fairly easy to cast. But the real problem we had with Christmas of Many Colors was creating the biggest snowstorm in the history of the Smoky Mountains in the mid-50s. And that snowstorm buried Dolly and her family for 3 days, and they thought they were going to die. And it was a miracle that brought the sun and the melting away of the snow and allowed their dad to get home to them. And Dolly wanted to share that miracle and that act of faith and the strength of their mother as part of the storyline. And of course, that was coupled together with the story of getting their mother a wedding ring finally after all those years and all those kids. She had never had a wedding ring, and they gave up their Christmas presents that year to allow their dad to have the money to buy those rings.
Well, I know for a fact you shot this project, this movie, in the heat of the summer in Georgia. How did you make it look so cold?
It was so difficult, but we had incredible people there who dealt with special effects and snow, and we had a mixture of paper products and foam, all biodegradable so that it would not hurt the environment. And that stuff was not going to melt. And we covered about 6 acres and several back roads with it and sprayed the trees. We defoliated the trees, 3 months earlier than they would normally have defoliated. And we created a wintry scene. And our director of photography, Brian Reynolds, who is just amazing, shot this in a way that it looked more brown and gray than it did blue and green. And the brown and gray tones with the iced overlook that we created helped make it look snowy and cold. And of course, we had 100-degree weather and all these kids in ice vests underneath their heavy coats, and Jennifer Nettles and Ricky Schroeder the same. And we were all burning up, but acting very method and showing that we were cold. So we all just tried to be cold everywhere we were.
Your actors deserve special awards just for convincing everybody that it was that cold.
I know. And then I have to tell you this really funny story. So after we turned in the rough cut to the network, one of the notes we get was, well, we don't see any breath when they speak. It's freezing there. I said, it's 100 degrees. So they said, well, how much would it cost to get some breath? So the network actually paid us to go to a special effects guy and create these little poofs when they would speak in certain times. And we found 60 places that it would be apparent to anyone that it was really cold that you might see breath on a certain P word or S word or something like that. And we put in special effect breaths. So we did it from A to Z, and it looks cold and it looks beautiful. And our 5 acres that we covered in snow was then masked out with special effects in the mountains and the surrounding areas so that it would look like snow covered the entire mountain.
And what was the reaction that you got from the public as opposed to the first one? How is it just similar and how was it different?
Well, I tell you what was amazing, Chris, is that the first one ultimately after the delayed viewing for 3 days and 7 days reached almost 16 million, and the second one reached almost 14.5 million. That was very similar in terms of our audience. But what was different about this one is that Dolly played a very important character from her life in this movie, Christmas of Many Colors, Circle of Love. When Dolly was 10 years old, her mother had taken the kids to town, and they saw the town harlot, so to speak. We called her the Painted Lady. And Dolly went up to this woman and thought she was the most beautiful woman she'd ever seen in her life. She tells this story in her act when she goes all over the country. I walked up to her and I said, I want to look just like you when I grow up. You know, big hair, big boobs, heavy makeup, red lipstick, high heel shoes. She wanted to look just like her. And so she did. And Dolly wanted to tell that story of how this woman made the impression on her that she did as a child. And she said, well, we've got to find somebody really special to play her. And I just went, She said, me? I said, yes, you. And it will be a great wink to your audience that this beautiful little child looks at someone like you and grows up to look just like you. And it just went viral, and people went crazy over the couple of scenes that Dolly herself played the painted lady in with little Dolly. And it was very touching. And, you know, little Dolly talks about wanting these shiny red shoes all the way through the movie for Christmas, and had to give up her shiny red shoes to have the money to buy her mother a wedding ring. But the painted lady brings her those shiny red shoes on Christmas morning. And it's just a tear-filled, joy-filled movie about sacrifice and survival and faith and trust and family. And that's what Dolly and I have tried so hard to present. We want to touch the hearts of the millions of people who see these movies. And our second one is getting the same awards that the first one did. You know, the first one won the Epiphany Prize for the Movie Guide Awards, and then won the coveted Christopher Award, and the second one has won the same 2 awards. In fact, I'll be going to New York in May to receive the Christopher Award, and we're in great company this year. 60 Minutes had a piece that won, and This Is Us, the new NBC show, has gotten such great reviews, is winning one. Hidden Figures, the film, and Hacksaw Ridge, Mel Gibson's movie. So we're in really good company this year, winning the Christopher Award. So I'm just very proud of what we've been able to accomplish, and all the great people who work with me to make these movies a reality, and to bring the life of an American icon to the American public from the 1950s is something that you just don't see very often. And Dolly is an icon in every definition of the word, and to see what her life was like as a little girl growing up in the mountains is something that I think a lot of people have been touched by.
Was that a difficult decision for you to, for her, and for you to convince her to be an actual character and not just in the wraparound?
No, it was not. In fact, once I told her that I thought it would work and gave her my reasons, she embraced it completely, and she was magnificent. She was magnificent.
What's it like for you as the mainline producer, the person that really is most responsible for this, on the night that it's going to air? Like the previous holiday season and this holiday season, are you on pins and needles? I mean, or do you have a lot of people come over? What's a night like for you on the night it actually airs?
Well, I'll tell you what, Chris. I was actually in Oxford, Mississippi. I'm in my office at Warner Brothers now, out in Burbank, but I was in Oxford, Mississippi with my wife, Mary. And last year when Coda Many Colors aired, I was also in Oxford, but I had just flown in from this meeting with Christian leaders in New York and barely got there in time. And then we left the next day to go to Europe, and I just did not get to experience it live on television. I had obviously seen it 100 times, because through the editing process and the sweetening and the ADR and all that you do to make it perfect, I'd seen it so many times, but I didn't get to actually sit. And this year we actually got to watch it with friends and watch it with the commercials and feel the emotions that everyone in the country is feeling. But yes, I'm on pins and needles. I'm always on pins and needles. I want people to watch it. I want it to do well. I want it to honor Dolly. I want our work to honor each of those cast members and our director and writer and all the people that work in costumes and set design and the director of photography, everyone to be honored by the success of it. So I guess my pins and needles were about the ratings. I knew we had a beautiful product. I knew the first one was just perfect, and the second one was as well. And I've been asked so many times, which is your favorite of the two? And I was so immensely honored and touched to get to ride herd on both of these projects. But I think the second one is my favorite. And the second one is my favorite because we got to know those characters more, and we got to know more about what motivates them and what the relationships are to Dolly, and how her, when we see the relationship with her teacher increasing in the second one, and when we see her Uncle Billy, who comes into the second one, who basically took Dolly on the road that very next year and created Dolly Parton. You know, he took her to Nashville and to Knoxville and put her on the Kaz Walker radio show and helped move her in the direction of her dreams. And the encouragement that she got from family and her teacher were very important to her. So to get to know these characters more and to get to see the family pull together and survive that crisis of the biggest blizzard in, you know, the 50s in Tennessee, very special. And it was much harder to do the second one, so it made me appreciate the end result that much more.
What did she say about this one?
She loved it. She cried. And my barometer with Dolly is if she sits with me and watches a rough cut and needs a whole box of Kleenex, then I've done my job. Olivia, who plays young Dolly, I know you were just bursting with pride when she got a Daytime Emmy nomination a couple of weeks ago for Young and the Restless. What did you think about that? I'm so happy for her. The child is just so talented and so special, and so is her mother. You know, these children are on the set with their mothers and their fathers during the course of production, and I've gotten to know Allie's mom, Barb, really well, and she's so supportive and so lovely and smart, and has helped Allie with her accent and the emotions that she needs for the scenes that she does. And I couldn't be prouder. I have said several times, I hope I live long enough to see what happens to that child, because I know something special is coming her way.
I totally agree. I told somebody the other day, I said, I'm interviewing Allie later this week. I just said, you know, one day I'm going to look back and say, I met that Oscar winner when she was 8 years old.
And you know what, Chris? I think we'll both watch her win that Oscar. I really think she is something special. And, you know, it's really interesting. There's a little girl named McKenna Grace who is starring in this movie Gifted with Octavia Spencer and Chris Evans, and she's also playing the daughter in Designated Survivor with Kiefer Sutherland. She was one of our finalists for Little Dolly. So little Allie beat that child out to have this opportunity to play Dolly Parton. And while I know we got the right one for Dolly Parton, I'm so thrilled to see her success. And she was someone who had come in and auditioned for us for the first.
Has anybody asked you at all what ultimately happened to The Ring? Where is it now? Does anybody know?
We have not talked about that, but I have a feeling that Dolly or maybe the older sister Willadine has the ring. And, you know, the story behind that was so special, and Abby Lee had never had a ring. And I'm not sure. You know what? I'm seeing Dolly later today. I'll ask her if her mom was buried with that ring or if Willadine has it. But I'll bet you Willadine has it. We'll see. I'll let you know. Okay.
It was so special. I'm sure somebody's got that. Somebody in the family has that.
I agree with you. I think someone would have to. And I can't believe I haven't thought to ask that question myself. So good question.
And now what's next in the Dolly Parton world? What would be the next song? What would be the next movie?
Well, at NBC, we're doing Jolene and The Seeker. And both of those projects are being written now. And I'm hopeful that you'll be seeing probably Jolene next. It's a very exciting time for Dolly to finally see a couple of these songs that have meant so much to her. The Seeker is another one that is one of her favorites that she's ever performed. But Jolene is the most covered song that she's ever written. And finally won a Grammy this year. Dolly and the Pentatonics had done another version of it in 2016, and it won the Grammy this year, and that's very exciting. So there's a lot of excitement there, and a lot of her fans are very anxious for us to come out and do Jolene. So we're excited about that. And we also are developing a couple of projects at some other networks that we'll be announcing very shortly.
Jolene would be something for maybe this holiday season, or is it a little further along than that?
It's not a holiday movie. So my guess would be that it will air after the holidays. We just started the process on it, and it's very exciting. We have a great story and something that Dolly is very thrilled with, and hopefully we can get that out, you know, as soon as it's ready.
Well, NBC's got two great ones already that can run during the Christmas time, so it won't hurt for them to hold that one till maybe early in the year.
I think that's part of their plan, is to re-air those movies. I hope they become perennials. They certainly deserve to be.
You go more than about anybody I know. What else is on your plate right now? What else are you working on?
Well, I have so many things on my plate, and you state that well. You know me well, but in addition to the 5 or 6 projects that Dolly and I are working on right now, I also run the Miss America organization. So to Atlantic City once a month. We're coming up on our 97th anniversary of the Miss America organization, and 7th Miss America this September, as we barrel toward the 100th anniversary in 2020.
People that watch it, just the ceremony itself, probably don't realize that you and all the people around the country, that's a year-round process, right? I mean, there's things going on about every day, every week in relation to the Miss America pageant.
Absolutely. Yesterday, well, actually Saturday the 8th, I was supervising our National Day of Service, Miss America Serves, and we raised close to $175,000 in one day for Children's Miracle Network Hospitals, who is our national platform partner. Yes, the organization is alive and running every day, 365 days a year, and people who see the actual competition on ABC every year think, well, that's Miss America. Well, Miss America is really so much more than that. Our winner travels 25,000 miles a month. She's all over the country in a different city every 48 hours, and our organization is about scholarship and service and talent and all the things that make for a great girl next door. And I'm very proud of what we've done to not only, build on the brand, but to make it also an icon, an iconic organization.
And I would imagine you and your team already have some really creative ideas for that 100th, right?
Oh, we do. We've already started. You're very accurate in that, Chris. And when we get closer, I'll be happy to share with you what we're planning. But it's going to be a nationwide celebration as we crown the 99th Miss America. From that moment until the 100th, there's going to be a nationwide celebration happening in all 50 states.
Well, good luck with everything. I know how busy you are. Thank you for taking the time today. And I'm hoping, Emmy voters don't always catch on the first cycle. So I'm hoping this time, now that you've had 2 really quality productions, they'll not only recognize the movie, but also the actors, all of these creative people behind the scenes that you discussed.
Well, one thing that I'd love to say, Chris, as we wrap this up, is that I thank you and Gold Derby for being so supportive of what we're doing. And I'd like whoever sees this to know that I represent some of the most talented actors and writers and directors and costumers and production designers in the business. We have put together what I call my stone soup of entertainment, where everyone puts the best that they have into the pot, and then we serve up a stew that feeds the world. I believe so strongly in what we're doing and in the messages that we're putting out in the world, because the response back has been so strong. Never have I been involved in anything in a very long career that has gotten the kind of response and notice that these 2 movies have. And I hope that when people are considering Christmas in Many Colors, Circle of Love, that they will think about what it means in terms of what this country needs, which is something positive right now to hold on to. I think we need it now more than ever, and I think that's part of the reason for our success.
Well, thank you so much, and good luck with it.
Thank you, Chris. You're the man.